Okay, so hey everyone, myself Rajat. Today we are looking at another little project of mine, which is making our private network or infrastructure public using Ngrok. So the way Ngrok works is that it has this thing called secure tunnel. What it does is it connects your local host to Ngrok's server, and whenever clients make any request, it goes on to Ngrok's server, and from there it comes on to your local host, and from there it can be redirected to your Nginx server. More accurately, it should be sort of like this, but we'll take a look at it later on in the video. So first let's talk about in the infrastructure and the network how I've set it up. So here I have three virtual machines. The left and right machines have Apache server on them. They are acting as my backend server. The middle one is my Nginx server, which is acting as a reverse proxy and a load balancer. So the way I've set up this infrastructure is, let me just open VirtualBox. Okay, so here I have three virtual machines. Now if we take a look at the settings and go on to the network configuration, I have configured them as bridge adapter. So what bridge adapter does is, in each virtual machine is treated as a separate physical device. Now what does that mean? If we take a look at the diagram, we can see that these virtual machines are inside of a Windows machine. Of course, you can see it over here as well. These virtual machines are running on a Windows operating system. Also, one more thing, if you're a Linux enthusiast, please do not bash on me, please do not roast on me. There's a reason I'm using Windows for this. You can ping me to ask about it. I'll respond to you. So anyways, putting that aside, what was I talking about? Okay, so all of these virtual machines are set to as bridge adapter. Now what it does is it creates them as a separate physical device. Now if we check for their networking thing, if we check for their IPs, you can see that I have a private IP address over here. Similarly, for other virtual machines, I have a private IP address over here. So now all of these virtual machines are on the same network as of my Windows operating system or host operating system. So this is about the infrastructure part, how I have set it up. Now let's talk about like how you can use Ngrok actually to make all this working. So what you need to do is just go on to Ngrok's website and install it. If it's for Linux, install it according to that. Whatever your operating system is. If it's for Windows, install according to that. After that, for Windows, you'll get like this folder like thing, and you'll get a command line tool over here. You just need to double click on it and it will open up, and it will open up like this. So what you need to do is, I have it already up and running. What you need to do is, you need to just, let me clear all this, CLS, you need to just type ngrok http 80. This way it creates a secure tunnel from your local host port 80, or you can say like from your port 80 to its own servers, right? So you just need to do that, and it will give you a forwarding URL, like I have one over here. If I copy this URL and open in my browser, I can see my backend server. I'm redirected to my backend server, which is the thing that should happen, because by my Nginx server, my bad, I'm getting confused between Ngrok and Nginx. My Nginx server is acting as a reverse proxy. So this is fine. This is the assumed behavior. This should happen. So this is how you can use Ngrok. Let's now talk about how did I make it work, because these virtual machines are running like a separate physical device, and this is my host operating system. There is no local host involved right now. So you need to just do a little thing that there are multiple ways of doing it. Since I've set these machines as bridge adapter, I don't have a direct way to create port forwarding. So you can just go on to Google and look for tools that you can use to create a port forwarding between a physical device on your private network to another network. What I've used is there is pre-installed command line utility or tool netsh, which you can use for network configuration. Using that, you can just define what IP and what port you need to create a port forwarding for from one machine to another. It is pretty simple, just one line command. You can go on to Google and figure it out. So using that, now my Nginx server can be accessed on my local host of my host operating system or my Windows system. A lot of words. This is getting a lot wordy. So if I go on to my local host, I can access my backend server, or I can access my Nginx server, which redirects my request to my backend servers. So with that being done, this is how you can use this Ngrok thing to make your private network or infrastructure public. I've also done other similar thing just like last video. If you take a look at that, or you want to improve your private network, you can keep watching, or if you just wanted to see till that part, how I can make my network public, you can stop right here. Your choice. From here on out, it's more about security part, but this time it will be a little different because we are dealing with devices on private servers. These servers are built from ground up. These servers are not running onto the cloud. So how we're going to do things, especially when we are using another proxy or someone else's proxy server. Ngrok is not our own server. So how we are going to do it? So firstly, let's talk about security headers, which is like the first thing that pops in my mind. So if we go onto this website, securityheaders.com, you can use this website to uh, see or check if we have implemented the security headers properly or not. So I'll just go on to my forwarding URL or the public URL that I have from Ngrok server, which clients will use to access my Nginx web server. I paste this URL and I scan this server. Now you can see that some of the tags are missing, and I also got a C grade. Unlike last time, I had a A grade last time. The problem here is when we check for a server that is not ours, then that server is checked, not our server is checked. So what that means is my when I'm making a request to check for security headers with this URL, my Nginx server is not being checked for security headers. What is being checked is actually Ngrok server, which shouldn't be like your assumed case. You'll be like, oh, this shouldn't have happened because my requests are being proxied lastly to my Nginx server, but it's not as simple as that. Because if you take a look at it, first the request goes from your client's IP address to Nginx's web server, right? So one IP is then second IP. Then from Nginx's web server, it comes onto your local host. So you can say your Windows operating system. This is why I was like saying this is sort of like this actually, sort of like this, right? So it comes onto your Windows operating system. Now it got another IP address, even though it's a private IP address. From here, it goes onto your Nginx web server. So another IP address. So this jumping of IP address is a big thing. So you cannot simply check for your security headers this way. So what I've done is we have a tool called Nicto, I guess. So you can tool this. You can use this tool, Nicto. So Ngrok is a free software command line vulnerability scanner that scans web servers for dangerous files, CGIs, outdated server software, and other problems, and yada yada. We don't have to care much about that. We just need to see for our security headers. So what I've done is I've installed Nicto onto my another backend server, because since all these servers are on the same network, so I installed Nicto on my another virtual machine. From there, let me just maximize this window. We can just check for our security headers, and I just need to write the IP of my Nginx server. Let me just check if it is right or not. If config 168.130.58 130.58. Let me first check if I'm able to even ping my server. Okay, my bad, I wrote wrong IP address, so let's do it again. 130.58, and I should be able to ping my Nginx server. Awesome. So now all I need to do is use Nicto and see about the vulnerabilities. So what I need to do is nicto-h 192.168. Let me check the IP again. Where's my Nginx server? Dot 130.58. 130.58. So here you can see there are some inode leaks. We don't have to worry much about that right now. We are looking for security headers, so you can see trusted transport security found, content security policy found, XSS protection found, feature policy found, and yada yada. So our security headers are in the right place. They are configured, implemented correctly, which is fine. Now let's talk about rate limiting. So I've also introduced rate limiting as well onto this server. If we just want to nginx.conf. Okay, so here are my headers, you can see, and here's the line that takes care of the rate limiting. I've commented it out for right now. Let me just remove that. So as you can see over here, 10 requests per minute, just like the last time. That is, we can make one request every 6 seconds. And let's remove this as well. just check the configuration file, syntax is okay, awesome, and let's just restart our server. Sudo service nginx restart. Server is now restarted. Now if we go on to over here, reload this URL, everything works fine. But if I reload now, of course I'm going to get an error because I did not wait for 6 seconds. Now if I reload again, everything is fine. If I wait for few seconds, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and reload the page again, things work fine. I'm able to access my backend server. So this was it. Okay, one last thing that I need to mention is access controls. Now you may wonder, like, I have not included access control yet, just like last video. If you have followed that web vulnerability part, web application vulnerability part, the thing is that Ngrok is not our own server, and when it is not your proxy, you shouldn't worry much about access control. Since I already discussed that these are jumping IP addresses, so it's a bit weird to introduce access control list. I even talked with folks on Ngrok's Slack community, and after talking to them, I settled with that Ngrok is not my own server, so I shouldn't worry much about it. So yeah, that's it, and that's it for this project. If you liked it, awesome. If it benefits you, awesome. I'm just recording these videos for my own learning purposes, for documentation purposes, and so on. So yeah, that's it. Have a great day ahead, and bye. Peace.